Hello and welcome to the first KOFISI Connect podcast of the year, and the theme this month is New Beginnings to kick off 2024. January is always seen as a time to start afresh with New Year's resolutions and business goals, to maybe reflect on the status quo and do something about it if something needs to change. And on that note, I'm very chuffed to welcome into the studio one of the makers of the new film BUFIS, which is about a group of Somalis living in Kenya looking for a way out and to start a new life in the US. Welcome. Why don't you start off by introducing yourself? And just before we start talking about the film, maybe you can let me know what you'll be doing differently for 2024.
My name is Vincenzo Cavallo. I'm obviously originally from Italy, southern Italy. I was born and raised in a very special place called Napoli. Beautiful, beautiful place, full of creativity and all sort of cultural things. But for different reasons, between 2005 and 2007, I wanted to leave Italy because I felt the country was not giving me the opportunity that I needed to develop myself from being a young student, recently graduated and doing a PhD. So I applied for a fellowship program at the United Nations, and I got it, and they sent me here to Kenya to work. And then one day my mom called me and she told me, like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm okay." I was in one of these UN office where you barely know what happened around you. So I was okay in the sense that I didn't know what was happening in Kenya. And funny enough, my mom knew it more than me, and she was in Italy watching TV. So she's like, "Oh, I've seen on TV they are killing a lot of young people in Kenya." This was 2007. I was 26. And I'm like, "Oh, what's going on?" And at that time, I was friend with a group of young artists from Dandora, which became very famous. I mean, at that time, they were already famous, the Ukoflani Mau Mau. So I'm calling them, I'm asking them, like, "What's going on, guys?" And they are telling me, like, the police is cracked down on this, what it's defined, Kenyan mafia. They are called Mungiki, and they are killing a lot of youths. The police is using this also as an excuse to get bribes. And I said to myself, like, "Oh my God, this is an important story to tell." So I stepped out. I went to meet what was at that time the director of the Italian broadcaster here, and I said, we need to make this story. And he said, "Okay, let's do it." And I started to make documentaries, and this was my first documentary called Mungiki, the Mafia of Kenya. So I think what I'm gonna do differently for 2024 is I'm gonna try to focus on a very high level achievements. I'm gonna set goals that are much higher than the ones that I set in my previous year, and try to let all the rest fade out so that I can concentrate on doing what I never attempt to do, because I feel like my life is coming to a stage where it could end. Not to, I don't know how much time I have left. I feel like it's time to shoot the bullets. I don't feel like there is a lot of time left, and I know that to make films that will remain in the history of cinema, you have to work very hard, and the process can be very long. So we are talking about cycles of like 5, 6, 7 years, 10 years. So and I know already what my next film will be about, and I know it's going to be extremely difficult to do it. So I don't want to lose time doing things I don't want to do, and it was positive.
I mean, the story itself. So maybe you should just tell us a little bit about the story in a quick kind of upsum of kind of what goes on in the film.
Okay, first, how did I know about this story, which is relevant as you suggested. I'm a good friend of Mahad Ahmed and a group of artists that goes under the name of Somali React. Among them, Abdirizak Malim, also aka Toll, who came to Warsaw with me for the world premiere. And they invited me to the screening of What Water, which is another film about a Somali Kenyan story. And I went for the screening and I met them and I said to them, listen guys, I really would like to make a movie about migration, but I want to make a movie about migration that looks at migration from a completely different perspective, that uses categories such the one you have used before, and kind of plays around with them. So we always been seeing the story of refugees in a way that the refugee is usually the victim of the system. Correct me if I'm wrong, but usually we always see the refugee as someone who is crushed by the system.
Sure. Yeah.
And in BUFIS, we finally see the refugees or the Somalis, whatever, who are the ones who crush the system instead of being crushed. And that's why I love this story. So they told me in a few words, there used to be a mukalas, which in Somali means broker, who was able to get green card visa for thousands and thousands of Somalis between the end of the 90s and the beginning of 2000. The scheme was very simple. The guy would write thousands of stories about different families. He would submit those stories to the green card diversity lottery visa. So, as a matter of statistic, because he would submit so many stories, some of his stories will be picked. Also because he was really good at writing the stories that will match exactly the requirements of the visa program. Once the family story gets picked, then he will rush and find the characters that will match the story. So he will be basically going out and cast the different characters. So if there is a family with 5 members, mother, father, 2 children, and a grandfather or a grandmother, he would go out there and find those characters. And then he would bring them in a secret place and he will rehearsal with them. He will teach them how to act in order to really personify those characters and convince the Americans to give them the visa. So the whole process sounded to me amazing in the sense that, this guy was basically performing a huge scam, but also this huge scam seemed to me a necessary action against the injustice of the system we are living in. So I thought to myself, this is a Robin Hood story. It's a guy that steals from the rich to give to the poor. I think we need to, first of all, agree on the political premises of this film, and the political premises of these films are that if you find yourself in a situation of structural injustice, what do? You can do civil disobedience, but that is not possible if we are talking about immigration policies, because you can create a problem to your own government if you do civil disobedience, but you cannot create a problem to the government who is supposed to host you. So, you cannot do a march on Washington. If you are not even in Washington, you are not even in the US, you are in a country that is basically torn apart by civil war. you have run away to the neighbor country, which is peaceful, but like, it's dealing already with its own citizen, and you feel like there is no opportunity for you in this specific place for many different reasons, and you want to go abroad, and and many of your similar situation got the visa, and you didn't get it, despite your story is the same story. So now you find yourself lying to say the truth. This whole system has created division within families. Even the co-director Mahad, part of his families went abroad, and him stayed behind. They never gave him the visa for reasons that I don't remember. He tried to explain to me, and so it's real. Like, you find yourself in Nairobi. Most of your family have gone abroad. Now you need to be part of a fake family to get the visa and go abroad. So for me, the film is really about for me, it was about depicting the character of the broker. I mean, you call it the human trafficker. When we say the human trafficker, we think about like this vicious man, who is unscrupulous and takes advantage of the people. And I probably in most of the situation, in the reality, it's true. And maybe, I'm sure even within the Somali context it's true. But in the film, we depict him as a Robin Hood. We depict him as someone who is trying to do something good for his own people. We depict him as someone who went through the trauma of losing his own family, and now what he wants to do is to just help other families to grow abroad. Like, what motivates him is really that, rather than the money.
Why Somalia so much? That obviously is something that's
I think it's because of the colonial past of Italians.
Of course.
And I think you being British understand what does it mean to have a colonial past. It's like, it's a very weird bound. People are connected for a history of crime and oppression, but at the same time, within this history of crime and oppression, so many other things happened, and people felt in love, people created friendships. Human beings are a bit, probably this is what is the most amazing thing of human beings, that even within the worst settings, they are able to still love each other, still create bonds, and that's and that's why I've been working with Somalia so much in these years, and with Somalis, because somehow we feel we are connected. And being myself an Italian who was born in the 80s, so in theory I have nothing to do with colonialism, and I meet someone who is also born maybe in the 90s or 85, and he's also, he was not there at that time, but we feel we share this history. And thanks God, I think also that time has created the condition for us to come together and do things, because there isn't that hate anymore.
So that's, yes, I was going to say, so a lot of Somalis live in Eastleigh, which is where your film BUFIS is set. How has it been received?
The reality is I don't have the data to tell you how it's been received. The film was in cinemas, and we did our premiere in Westgate specifically because we were told that this is the favorite mall for Somalis. And then the film has been screened for, I think, 4 weeks in Kenyan cinemas, which is quite a lot for a local film. I have seen the data of the people who have gone to the cinema, but I don't know how many of them were Somalis, and I don't know what did they talk to each other when they left. I think there is, for the conversation I had with different people of Somali origin or Somalis, the film is either amazing or the film doesn't portray the community the way they wish it shall be portrayed, which is, I think, a problem that every community has with films. That, I mean, sure. Like, again, I was born and raised in Naples, and then that same conversation was there in my own town when people would come and shoot films about, you know, the local organized crime and how violence is the city, and then everybody would be like, wow, why people are coming from abroad and depict us as criminals, and, you know, Italy is not just about mafia, you know, and this and that. So I understand that conversation very well. And I knew already that conversation would have sparked. And it's okay. I mean, as long as people talk about the film, it's okay. And then I think the reaction during the premiere was amazing. I don't know if it's because most of the people who were in the cinema were connected to the film or were part of the cast, but I mean, the feedback we got from the premiere was fantastic. If I can say maybe 2 words to promote the film is watch it, because you're not gonna get bored, and no. You know, you're gonna learn a lot of things,
yeah.
and it's not educational, it's not rhetoric, but it has content that will allow you to reflect and maybe make you interested in knowing more about yourself as an individual, like in relation to people who are deprived of certain rights. Either you are African or not African, it doesn't matter, because this imbalance and inequalities are among Africans and among Africans, Europeans, Americans, and so on. This equality of having access to different opportunities, it's what really motivates people to do incredible things. So, you know, we need to respect sometimes people who don't play the game according to the rules, because the rules are set for the people who are on top to remain on top. What I'm trying to say is, like, there are laws that we feel are not right.
Yeah.
And, you know, we need to find a way to delegitimize them, having a conversation about them, so that maybe in the future we'll be able to change them. So I think I hope BUFIS will contribute to this conversation.
And just let me know where we can see it, because they've got some...
Yeah, so we're going to have a screening at KOFISI, right?
Yes, correct.
The 18th.
And the 18th of the month.
And the day after, the 19th of January, it's going to be on Netflix, in Africa exclusive, and outside Africa non-exclusive. So it can be watched everywhere in the world after the 19th of January.
And then, just because this podcast is all about kind of new beginnings, and
yes,
so just quick, without giving too many
it's okay.
USP ideas
it's
away,
okay.
Tell us what next year holds.
It's okay. I'm not one of these directors who keep his project secrets. I mean, I've been going deep into the colonial past of Italy. And, you know, what really shocked me, and I don't know if this is the same in UK, but like everything that is related to the colonial history of Italy, it's been completely hidden by the education system. So we went in school, we studied, of course, the Second World War, but no mention of what Italy did in Ethiopia, in Libya, in Somalia, and all of that. And again, you know, there are some parts of this history that have had an influence on our own country and on our own culture. And not only, there's been much more than that. So I feel like my mission for the future is to actually go deep and make movies about things that are connected to the Italian colonial past. I feel this is my goal. I feel this is something that I can do because I'm kind of entitled to do, because I'm Italian, because I've been living in Africa, so maybe I will receive also less criticism by focusing on that rather than trying to focus on African stories, which I still love and I will keep producing or directing if I have the chance. I want the story to unveil the colonial past. I want to talk about the resistance, and BUFIS ends with the translation of Bella Ciao. I don't know if you know Bella Ciao. Bella Ciao is a partisan song. You don't know Bella Ciao?
No.
I think you have heard it.
Probably.
Na 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 na.
You're not going to get me to sing.
You never heard it?
I think I have, but I'm not singing it.
Yeah. Well, so the last song that closes BUFIS is Bella Ciao, which we did in kind of Somali freestyle, which is a freedom fighters song. So
that links
somehow. I think
amazing.
It's connected.
Amazing. Well, best of luck. It sounds epic.
It sounds epic. I told you, I think I will need the 10 years to find the money to do this thing, but hopefully I'll make it.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you.
The story's worth telling. Keep up.
Yeah. If you hear this podcast and you are interested, connect with me.
Vincenzo, thank you so much.
Thanks to you, Georgia.
Bye-bye.